about finding ways to win in what are not always clean games, what are sometimes really scrappy games that they have to kind of maneuver their way out of. You know, I think a lot about that CLG win up against Ocean Soul, having to backdoor to get that victory, and they've had a lot of close ones.
Definitely have, but we'll see if they can make this one happen. We got the early Yuumi hover and the early Yuumi lock-in. I do think these lanes are abusable, but if Ezreal comes through for bang, then it's not anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have in the past seen some things that are considered really strict kind of Yuumi anti-picks, you know, things like the Mordekaiser, things like the Volibear in the past kind of came out as an answer to the Yuumi. Obviously, we just saw an incredibly successful game on Yuumi last game for Ignar, and I wonder if that is something that, you know, we're going to see more of, because if EG is first picking that, if they're picking that, this could be a block of teams that are scrimming and saying, hey, actually Yuumi is OP, we need to be playing this. So I'm really interested to see if Immortals will go for something in that support role to really try to punish, something aggressive, something with hard engage, or something uniquely suited to kind of countering it.
And I think this is the Ezreal takeaway. Like, I really do think if you play like Ezreal Leona or Ezreal like not of something, like Ezreal is the safe pick you play so that you can get yourself out of the hard engages. This feels more like a steal to me than you really want to play Ezreal for Altec. It is one of the champions that he plays, don't get me wrong, it's in the Altec pool, but to me, like, I'm always afraid otherwise.
Yeah, it is interesting because, as you say, Ezreal Yuumi is a very safe duo, and that's something that you want to stop. But at the same time, generally how you punish Yuumi is with these all-in picks.
Yeah.
And Ezreal is not usually what you think of for that.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be good to follow up at times, but it's very reliant on having the correct angles, on minions not being in between you and your opponent to hit the mystic shots, and these type of things can really make a big difference.
When Jiizuke gets his LeBlanc yet again, most played of the split so far. It's going to be game number 3, and Lucian breaks the chain of Svenskeren playing unique champion every single game. He's going to come through for him, and we are expecting some pretty good things. Now, again, we're not expecting a winning bot lane for EG, but they know Ornn is a likely top laner. I guess it's more of a coin flip. We shouldn't really say that right now. We know he goes back and forth, but LeBlanc should be happy. Lucian should be happy in almost any matchup aside from Rek'Sai, and if that's not grabbed here, you might see the ban come through, and Sven could be pretty comfortable here.
Yeah, we'll have to find out if Eika is going to be comfortable playing that. We have seen Ornn go over to Immortals once this split. It was played by sOAZ, but you can definitely do like an Abyssal Rush Ornn mid against LeBlanc and just have too much HP to really be easily burst down. That is something they could really look for. Xmithie going to be able to grab his Rek'Sai. Yeah, there we go. One of his most consistent picks really across his career. It feels like ever since the champion has come out, he has been so good on it. It is a strong matchup individually against that Lee Sin that Svenskeren is going to be bringing out. People talk a lot about the Unburrow, interrupting the Q damage there. So we'll see how he's going to be able to play it out. And so far, Immortals just kind of targeting some of the difficult picks for Ornn to deal with, such as the Mordekaiser. Conqueror, Liandry's Rush, Mordekaiser really can match up well against that Ornn.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of percent HP damage, a lot of sustained kind of deal with the Ornn there. So looking to target that.
Yeah, that'll look pretty reasonable, and also you can ult him to break his own ultimate, so there's even team fight counters there. And now we'll see what else comes through as the Syndra is off the table. Immortals get one final ban as well.
Interesting to note, actually all 3 picks that Kumo has had are banned. So he has only played 4 games of Aatrox, 1 game of Set, 1 game of Immortals. So he's going to have to show us something new. There were criticisms about his champion pool last year when he did come into the LCS, and he was very reliant upon this Jace pick. So we'll see how much he's kind of grown from that. Can he bring something out here that is going to look good, that is going to match up well, potentially into this Ornn? Excited to see that growth from Kumo, because I do think he is someone who hasn't been a pleasant surprise for me. I think he has performed above what my expectations were, and he's a player that I think has a lot of room to grow as a young NA talent.
Ooh, Braum, I don't love here. I think you really do fail to punish Yuumi lanes entirely. I know the Leona ban made sense because, hey, that's the best hard engage tool right there. You could have gone Rakan Ezreal. I know it's a little weird. You could have gone for Nautilus, though, and went for... Oh, so sorry, Nautilus banned. So, yeah, you're down to, like, Alistar, which, honestly, I'd be okay with, but...
Yeah, I mean, again, there is, like, Volibear support and things like that. We haven't seen him pick it a lot, but it was always used as that matchup into Yuumi, because if you split, you can actually use your Roar to interrupt him rejoining with his teammates. CC actually delays Yuumi from being able to rejoin with teammates there too, so there is a lot of all-in potential. They're not going for something aggressive. I even think you could go for something like a mage support and really bully the lane. I mean, this is the pick that last game we saw Yuumi selected into the Braum. Now you're picking the Braum when they already have the Yuumi, so you really are kind of working into their favor. It is going to be the Renekton for Kumo up there in the top lane. So a lot of early and mid game power, it feels like, for AG. You know, I'm looking at this squad already, I feel like they pretty much have to win early on to have a reasonable chance in the team fighting stage. Ornn is going to give you so much frontline, so much scaling later on, especially when there's not a frontline magic damage threat. LeBlanc wants to be attacking backline. Ornn can stack up the armor and HP, deal with those main members there. Corki is going to give you a lot of scaling, Ezreal there too, and you have this really beefy frontline. So, you know, EG are going to have to make the most of their early game power. LeBlanc, Lee Sin, Renekton all pair up very, very well, and Lucian could be an early dominant laner. So we'll see what EG can get done if they can start stacking objectives, create a big gold lead, or this could be kind of similar to what we saw last game, where TSM, you know, started to struggle in the team fight stage later on against what is, you know, a similarly scaling comp.
Honestly, I think EG have pretty easy itemization choice here. Corki is 9d10 magic physical. Ornn and Rek'Sai aren't huge damage sources overall. And I mean, Altec can do okay, but he's still not going to be putting out absurd physical damage overall. And yeah, Hexergos come in, and you start healing through all the rest of the damage. We'll see what comes through. EG, though, hoping to pick up a win. Their first game of the week is now, as Immortals have a chance to close out another 2-0 week, go up to 6-2. See if they can make that one happen as we are getting ourselves onto the Rift for the fourth and final LCS game of the day. Stay tuned to Vods Academy after this, and we'll see if Immortals can continue to be at the top of the table. And they can build a lot of space as well, right?
Yeah.
TSM just lost, so they can be heads and shoulders above almost every team.
Yeah, I mean, they came into this week tied with TSM 4-2. TSM is now 4-4. They are already 5-1, I do believe. So, or 5-2, right?
5-2 right now.
So
we'll see if they can go up to 6-2. Is going to be an exciting game as the screen splits to the sides. We reveal Summoner's Rift. We reveal evil geniuses doing battle with Immortals.
How'd you know? How'd you know it was going to be Summoner's Rift?
You know, it was a guess. I mean, they took out Treeline and Dominion, so I was like, well, unless it's a Howling Abyss, we're good.
Going for a little bit ARAM.
Yeah, I mean, all right, well, we're going to stop what we're doing right now. We've got Gabby on the side with Artemis.
Well, since I have you by my side, Artemis, I did just want to ask you, kind of really figure out what's going on with Yuumi, right? 2 games in a row, Soraka banned Yuumi in. How much of this has to do with the prioritization of heavy healing?
I think in the meta right now, healing is strong and sustain in general, especially with Yuumi and Soraka. But with the buffs we saw to Yuumi recently, I think it's a really strong pick. And we've seen LEC prioritize it pretty highly this week, and NA is maybe a bit slow to catch on. Like we saw CLG pick it yesterday and 1 game today. But the pick has a lot of strengths. We think it's great in lane, it scales very well, and I think it can take over the game with pairing like LeBlanc and Aatrox, things like this. So we're pretty confident in the pick. We have a lot of practice on it, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
Cool. Last quick question for you before you get to go and watch it. Obviously, Ornn pairing was a big, heavy portion during the last game. You just named a couple, but is there any one in particular we should be marking out for as a priority for Yuumi?
Yeah, watch Jiizuke with the Yuumi this game. He's going to have some fun.
All right, keep your eyes on Jiizuke, everybody. We're ready for it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we have an invade first of all, so we'll talk about this first, then we'll talk about Yuumi a bit more. But Immortals have the ward advantage. They've got the numbers advantage, kind of. I mean, Yuumi is there, but oh, if that Q hit bang, that was probably flashed down. Poke lands though, and Zeyzal kind of push them around. This is going to run out of patience very soon. They got to be careful this one. You can see Altec and Hakuho trying to mark Svenskeren, prevent the smite, but Xmithie is running out of health. Heal! Trades with exhaust. And there's the reset. Oh, Jiizuke's already having a great time. Hakuho is in a really rough spot. The kills are gonna come through. Jiizuke is donated 700 gold.
Yikes, Immortals, that was a terrible invade. They stayed there for so long, and then the bot lane split away from Xmithie, leaving him alone with Zeyzal and Bang. You know, why are they trying to fully commit to chasing Svenskeren, right? You know, the skill shots miss. Now you need to just go back, help your jungler actually finish this buff. Instead, Altec and Hakuho both abandon Xmithie completely, charging after Svenskeren, who they're not even able to get in range of to hit. Xmithie is ignited, surely going to die, and he expends the flash, so bad goes to worse there, but that was just a terribly organized invade from Immortals, and they're going to be kicking themselves really far behind off of that. I mean, they're level 1. They traded support flash for mid flash. Jiizuke should have been down a summoner and having a rough time. Instead, he has 2 early kills.
Well, he's going to start taking over this game, you have to assume, but 1,200 gold deficit is what Immortal's going to work through. Yeah. Now, thankfully for them, Xmithie's able to grab his own red, then run across the map, grab the opposing blue, so the buff difference won't be too big. And he's only down kind of half of a camp in that he matches 8 CS to 8 CS, then Lee goes to 12, but obviously the kills, huge.
Yeah, the kills are really, really big. I mean, we talked about how EG kind of needed to snowball the early game, as now the collapse coming through here, but Jiizuke is continuing his base, so Xmithie can probably waddle his way out. But, you know, we talked about how EG wants to snowball an early game, right? Well, what better way than getting 2 kills at level 1 on your LeBlanc? That's going to be feeling incredible.
Yeah.
Already a very big early buy here. Eika wants to play this lane defensively to scale up. That becomes much more difficult when your opponent has all this early gold injected into him. We also didn't really get a chance to actually touch on it is Omni Stone Corki. Which I was really surprised by. So Omni Stone to me, the power in this is constantly applying the runes, having a low cooldown and being able to constantly utilize them. In range versus range matchups, I feel that is much more difficult. If you have a matchup that you are bullying as a range champion, you're getting a lot of procs out of it. And I'm going to be kind of interested to track how often he's actually procking it.
He goes on screen, he got Airy and just instantly triggers from Battling Gun.
But his comment,
free.
His comment I think actually expired.
Sure, fair. Well, right now Kumo's going to be trading with sOAZ. They go back and forth. Yeah, so Corki feels like one of the champions to me that actually uses Omni Stone well, right? In that he'll use Electrocute, he'll use Comet in like a generic team fight, he'll use all the other stuff, and he auto attacks. So like Conqueror and Press the Attack, and Lethal Tempo and Halo Blades, like those actually work on him as well. So I think Corki is in a position to do well with Omni Stone. So I see how it works. Also worth noting that in team fights, it has a shorter cooldown than any other keystone in the game.
Yep.
It's like 4 seconds. You will for sure get 3 keystones in a team fight.
As long as you're able to consistently apply them,
Of
right?
course.
And that's kind of the trick, right? You know, I do think, you know, if you go for something like Fleet Footwork, you know, that is giving you, you know, guaranteed sustain and guaranteed keystone coming out into those team fights. But going to be interested to kind of track this and see how he does. And the other thing that's interesting about this keystone is that it actually prioritizes giving you Predator when you're coming out of base now, as we may see a gank here from Svenskeren, which can help you get on the map.
Let's get away from this one. Knows he has Flash, takes a good bit of damage, but Electrocute comes down. Gets some shots there, and Sven is pushed off at half HP.
Still, I honestly think that's a great gank from Svenskeren. You know, he can go back to base relatively soon. Eika just TP'd back out and lost about half of his health. He has no potions, so you know that is going to get really difficult. So this actually calls Xmithie over because he wants to reset the wave again. He says, I can't lane anymore against my opponent, so let's reset this. Let me get a free base and try to get back out on the map.
Not terrible. Couldn't quick at the auto for Grasp. Also of note is because he's Inspiration Primary, he went for Futures Market, went into a deficit to buy that early Sheen and help him get some of the extra power early on. But I really do like Futures Market as well. I think it's actually a hugely beneficial rune to just get you onto the power spikes when you can't always do it. So I like that pickup a lot, and I'm honestly just a very big fan of Eika's rune page.
Yeah, it's interesting, and Omni Stone I think is something that is kind of largely unexplored, especially the Predator interaction. I really do think can have a lot of value. You know, when you're thinking about, you know, Corki wanting to get package and roam around the map, Predator can work in kind of a somewhat similar way, or just give you like a super package where you're really zooming out on the map with that bonus speed from the package plus the Predator boots to just kind of race out. Sure, get in there.
Well, nice early pressure there, as of course mid was pushed. They forced that recall off of Eika. You know the bot lane's doing pretty well here as well, and Svenskeren gets a pretty easy solo on that first Drake, so Mountain added to the repertoire.
Yeah, Bang and Zeyzal doing great so far in that bottom lane, and you can see that it was actually Altec forced onto the Sheen by, you know, trying to have a little bit more power to try to combat this. He's not going straight into the tier to stack that up as fast as possible. He's going to have to go back to that later on, so this will slow down his scaling a little bit. But he just feels like, hey, you're getting pressured this heavily, you've already lost a plate, you need to have some combat power now.
Yep, and they're going to drop a little bit of CS once in a while, but should get most of them. A little bit of a slow, but pretty easy for Bang to juke backwards. There's really no way to threaten a kill on Lucian when your support is Braum. Fight right there, a little bit of damage comes through, nice root though, and yeah, Eika can't get a whole lot done there.
Conqueror is one of the runes that's hard to get rid of because you need to get fully stacked before it actually goes away, so you need that 10 stack Conqueror to actually make it cycle out. That is a bit of an interesting one. And I'm kind of curious on your thoughts about Lethal Tempo Ezreal. Because to me, it does help with frontline killing. You know, I've been seeing this picked up a little bit more. There's not really a great rune for Ezreal. He had been going Conqueror, but I've been seeing more and more Lethal Tempo just kind of for the additional attack speed, which you need a lot of when you're trying to kill frontline. But there's not a ton of that in this game.
That's true. I think it is sort of like the default rune. I agree there's probably room for optimization in cases based on comp. I think that does make sense. But yeah, ultimately, you're the kind of situation where like, I landed the Q, okay, if I want to E forward, it's ready for me instantly, right? And so it kind of synergizes there. The other half is Ezreal is essentially an on-hit champion, right? He's got Muramana and Ruin King. Like, you know, having a fake Rage Blade via lethal tempo, like synergizes with his primary item buys. Big trade that Eika actually forced a flash. Did not need a flash. Jiizuke had no more damage left.
Ooh, I think if the chain connects, I think he's dead. I
Yeah?
actually disagree there. That's a hard one to call, but I do think if the second part of the chain connects, he just gets autoed and probably dies. Hard to know, but he's going in for
flash
it.
follow,
God.
but that's it. He's out of health. He's at 5 HP. Comedy of errors. The flash smite gets the kill. Now it's a knock up here onto Kumo, but Svenskeren's here for the reinforcements. They can find the stun. He's dead. Flashed away from the slow, and well, Immortals are on the board.
That's a shutdown you just gave over. Jiizuke had this big early lead we talked about, and that was how it was used. His Ignite is on cooldown.
Yeah, he was
Eika
not close to the
has
kill.
healed up somewhere there. Yeah, that was not even remotely close. That was terrible.
That was a really, really bad play, but Immortals are rewarded with 300 gold on there.
Yeah, let's watch this one more time. So
400 health.
Eika has 400 health. Jiizuke going for the flash here. You know, Eika is very far back, hits the flash, misses the chain. Even with the chain, I don't think you kill him. I mean, that is so risky. You don't know where Xmithie is. If you stay in to try to have the chain where I think Xmithie comes in and actually breaks that up and you die anyway, that just seemed like so high risk and so low reward. And now actually you know, going for a CDR build here, going for that Fiendish Codex instead of just racing towards the Ludens. Also, I've got to say, I kind of disagree with it. That could just be a blasting wand and you're most of the way there to Ludens, which is such a big power spike. So
Yeah.
Jiizuke not making the most of his early advantage that he was gifted so far. We'll see if he can pick it up and start playing a little bit better.
We'll see. Package picked up now for the Corki, though. This was massively buffed. The AD ratio is about 25% higher than it was in the previous patch. It's, if you land on the entire package, 1,000% bonus AD ratio. Now, you're not going to sit in all 5 seconds of package in most cases, but if you do,
In the case where you go AFK,
actually
for sure
dead. You're just actually dead if that comes through. Of course, we're in a pretty happy Essence Reaver sort of Infinity Edge kind of metagame, so those items are in a really, really strong state, so I do want to see that come through for him. Another Conqueror there. Altec's going to be careful, has to flash away from the root. Did have Braum in the way, so maybe could have saved that cooldown, but regardless, let's get away, stay alive.
Yeah, it's tough. If you get rooted up there and then bang flashes on you, maybe you're going to go down.
Yeah.
That was pretty low. Kumo looking pretty good here up on this top side, bullying sOAZ, but sOAZ farming well, right? And he is starting to stack up that armor. Xmithie now moving down to this bottom side. They want to try to protect Altec. They know he's in a bit of a vulnerable state. His TP is not yet up, so that's what they're kind of trying to wait for here critically.
Jiizuke, get him! That looked like an opportunity to flash into the turret, you know? I thought that was the opportunity. He was at 80%. It was in his eyes.
You're a savage.
His body was telling him, yes, you know? Well, 1,000 gold difference.
All time to time.
Yeah. EG is still overall winning this game. You've got a pretty big lead here in the bottom lane. Got to say, the Lucian Yuumi is doing really good stuff. Again, Braum really can't punish a Yuumi, and Lucian's a far better laner than Ezreal, so Immortals taking their expected L down there. We'll see what the mid game looks like.
Yeah, and you know, this is something where they may receive some criticism unless they can kind of get more done later on with that, because they had full knowledge of what they were playing into, and they picked for it.
Decent damage done there. Jiizuke actually dodging the Comet with a distortion forward, so that one goes back on cooldown. I'll just keep tracking Omnistone the whole time because it interests me so greatly. As a huge armor stack's coming through for sOAZ, he's going to have a pretty easy count against Kumo in most cases. But EG are still stacking everything, and the ult's actually challenged in for this one. I don't think Kumo can chase this guy down, though, and kind of burns the ult to kill a minion wave.
Yeah, pretty poor ultimate. sOAZ laning well. Ornn can be very difficult to lane against as a melee champion, especially when there is such kind of a simple damage profile for him to itemize against. LeBlanc generally not the champion that's going to make you build MR as a tank. We'll see if they can pull off any sort of dive.
Here, and Sven is seen. That's enough threat, though, to maybe push him away. Q's gonna land. Altec just destroyed. Zeyzal is on the board with the Prowling Projectile.
Yeah, Altec had full knowledge that he was there. He was on a ward, he walked in. Hakuho decided to leave. I think Altec just felt like he could outplay the situation, maybe stay around. Instead, gets nailed by that Q. Svenskeren able to take him down in combination with that bottom lane, and bad goes to worst. Down in that bottom lane 2v2 for Altec and Hakuho.
Well, Immortals going to keep stacking up the benefits. Certainly jungle help was coming in, but without the Herald, they get the entire bottom lane turret. Bang has been, I think, the #1 stat performer for EG. I think he is like back on form. He's been having really, really good stats this year. I'm super in love with how he's playing 2020, and That 2-on-2 is just absolutely one-sided.
Yeah, they're looking great. And, you know, the Athene's now completed. The Blade of the Rune King now completed. So they are at such a strong point of the game. Both those one-item power spikes are enormous for these champions. Let's watch this one more time, as it was a really good initial trade. The Ignite getting a lot of damage down on Altec. He is low. Hakuho is low. They do spot Svenskeren, and then Hakuho is just out of there.
Yeah,
Altec does try to retreat, you know, try to sidestep it. I feel like, I don't know, it's tough to know. You know, maybe Hakuho can actually just stay with him and absorb the Q. He had exhaust up, he had his flash up.
Sure.
Altec did not. Instead, you know, maybe just trusting that Altec could sidestep that Q, and if he does, he probably lives, but that is a bit of a tough one, because even then, if you don't have shift, you could still get kick flash and die.
Sure. Yeah, that was tough, right? Because he's like, as soon as Sven came into vision range, he was already R. So it's like, well, I can't walk away anymore, and, you know, didn't guess the sidestep correctly. Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where you don't really blame the player, because it wasn't like that bad of a choice, and it ended up being catastrophic.
Yeah, and it's just tough to know, right? You know, if Hakuho goes back and they both die, then that's even worse.
Of course.
So, you know, maybe just hoping that Altec can now play and get out of there. They are going to crash this Rift Herald up on the top side, but unfortunately, about 20 seconds too late to cash in on any of those plates, so it will be damage, but it won't be any initial gold, as EG 5 turret plates 2-0, and that does speak to that pressure they had on the bot side. That is where every one of those plates was taken.
5-0 though, 2,500 gold lead. Evil Geniuses on their way up the standings maybe a little bit. They can get a 2-0 week here, go 4-4, tie right from the middle of the pack. Altec now rooted in place. That's Jiizuke flashing forward, burning his summoners. Here comes the shield over the top. The ulti almost enough to save Svenskeren. Barely grabs that kill with a kick. And now it's Immortals stuck under the turret. Here comes the package. Eika cannot find the target just yet though. Sees Svenskeren, burns it and gets nothing for it. Now the push forward. Good little poke coming through, and Immortals once again hemmed under that turret.
Yeah, Jiizuke pushing this in, so Immortals have got to leave. They're going to get dove. This is 4v3. Xmithie is pretty low. Now the TP will come through to try to protect here.
Smites for the ult, and that is so much damage. Jiizuke timed that basically perfect. It's still a trade of kills, though. Bang is slow, not knocked up as Kumo comes in as well. sOAZ found out. Exhaust burn. There's the dive for the Renekton all the way in the back line. Doesn't take any damage at all. And Hakuho has to stopwatch. Oh, he's burning. The last tick doesn't quite kill us. sOAZ tanked the Q.
Yeah, really good block there from sOAZ, but they can continue. Altec is back, but not really something that they can defend, as Svenskeren confident to go in. He knows how low these members are and that they've got to get back to base, so EG flexing their muscles up here on this top side. Add more members to the scene quicker, got the HP advantage, and really utilized a lot of the power in Yuumi in these extended fights. As long as you're hitting all the prowling projectiles, you're getting so much bonus healing from your Athenes every time you pop that Zoomies.
Yep. And look at that one now. It's getting farther and farther away. EG finally capitalizing on their early game. You can see Xmithie die again.
Yeah, so Xmithie very low here. Jiizuke is by himself and quite low himself, so Xmithie, I think, makes really the only call he can to try to just go back towards Jiizuke. He has the Chilling Smite, so that does apply the ability to get in there with the ultimate. I think the chains completed, it looked like, or something completed while Xmithie was still untargetable in that ult and killed him off, so he actually died before Xmithie did come out, but Eika was able to come across, was able to finish off that kill, and then it's kind of just a continuation. sOAZ doing a good job blocking it out, but EG had priority and do get that top lane turret.
So back on the map we go. 3,500 gold lead. Evil Geniuses feeling comfortable. Their third Drake is waiting for them right here. Svenskeren likely to be uncontested. You can even see wards. It's just on the screen. 4 wards right here that EG put in. You zoom out. There's the first bad ward. There's the first Immortals ward. That would see something, and it doesn't see anything in use. So EG in complete control here.
Yeah, EG up 3,000 gold, getting a third early dragon. They're going to be feeling really, really good about their position in this game. And so far, their early game has really kind of lived up to what they needed to get done with this composition. They're up a couple towers. They have 3 dragons. The Infernal Soul will help to make up for any sort of differences in scaling that their composition will have. And it's kind of interesting to see sOAZ actually making a bit of a pivot in his build. He's basically building 3 items at once now. I did think he was just going to go Iceborne and Sunfire. He has now moved back towards that Abyssal, which is incredibly efficient, but I'm just not sure he needs the MR. You know, maybe he's worried about the consistent threat and poke that could add up over time from Zeyzal plus Jiizuke, but I feel like you'd be better served by just stacking armor and then building something like a Warmogs to shrug off the poke, because
Right.
It's not as though LeBlanc can focus you in the team fight and actually get a victory there. So
Yeah. I'm going to devil's advocate because I think I agree that armor stacking is probably the best single build. I like Abyssal just in the fact that it's a magic damage amp aura for your Corki.
yeah, that's
Right?
fair.
And your damage is coming through from your mid lane. So through that lens, if sOAZ doesn't die anyway, then it's a great build, right? As long as you can live at 1%, it doesn't matter what else you build. So I'll leave that as an asterisk of like, I could see it going either way. I don't think either build is like objectively wrong.
Yeah.
And we'll see. If he gets killed every fight though by Bang, then now we know in retrospect, right?
Yeah, and it's just interesting, looking at the different options here. This is kind of the more altruistic option, I guess.
Yeah.
Being a little bit more generous with his itemization, trying to help out with that aura. So we'll see how it does pay off. The game slowing down a little bit, but it is going to be about contesting this next dragon, 330 until that Infernal Soul dragon is up. EG are going to have 4 potential chances at it before Immortals could really get that off the map. So EG would love to get this, utilize that to try to snowball into a potential Baron, but this would be an incredibly early Soul. I mean, they could potentially have that a bit past 22 minutes into the game.
Yeah, very, very early stuff. Looking great for EG still. We're seeing defensive options coming through for Immortals. You got Hakuho rushing towards Stone Plate. Seems to need that one pretty badly to tank the front line. He's actually already even got his Ninja Tabby. Knows that physical damage really is the name of the game here for most of the EG squad.
Yeah, and we are seeing almost all kind of tanky supports go straight towards that one item Stone Plate because it really does turn you into a true tank during that time. We saw Biofrost go for a bit of a different look last game, going more for the supportive style of Braum. This is more that pure tank, and just kind of having multiple beefy frontliners between the Ornn and that Braum to buy time for your double marksman to really get the work done, because that's going to be who the heavy lifting has to be done by, Eika and Altec, when it comes to these later stages.
Well, first big power spikes are coming through, though. Want to point out Trinity Force is done here for Eika. Altec, of course, a little ways to go until he has that one done, about 600 gold to earn. But that's actually a bit more than more like 1,000. But regardless, this is now maybe the first sign of life. Eika has been farming pretty well, despite the fact that Jiizuke has picked up those kills. He's pretty close in gold overall, certainly highest on his own team. So eyes on the Corki, what he can do in these fights. Xmithie comes to the top side, can't quite find the Jiizuke poke.
And it feels like neither team is really willing to make any sort of kind of crazy move prior to that Infernal. I do think we're trying to see Immortals get closer to completing some of these major items. And one of the downsides that we didn't kind of touch on with sOAZ build is because you're building 3 items at once, it's post 20 minutes, he's level 13, he doesn't have a single Ornn upgrade, right? So he's a lot weaker than he could otherwise be going into this dragon fight because you're missing out on thousands of potential bonus gold there. We'll see if he's going to be able to actually complete that in the next minute, but another Rift Herald is going to get dropped here, and this will be the mid lane getting cracked.
And he's got Abyssal money exactly right now, so as long as he can recall, he can get the first item done. But
well, and he could craft it out. He really just
that's
get
true,
it.
yeah. As long as he has 5 seconds of safety, he can make that one happen. So at least that'll come through at some point. Herald goes down. Mid lane is cracked, though. EG the first to get all 3 outer turrets. Plenty of time. 1 minute to go. It's time to reset. Jiizuke already has. Almost to that death cap right now. Luden's already done. You can see in the 3,500 gold lead means Dragon's Soul is a minute away, and Immortals must dig deep. They have to find their answer pretty much right now. Johnny Rue does not have the money to finish the Triforce, so they're going to be without that spike. Predator, though, in for Eika.
Did get the blue buff. That's pretty big. Going to be allowing them, if it is that extended fight around that Dragon Pit, to have extra poke coming out. Alongside that Ezreal can get pretty pesky, but Zeyzal, as long as he's not running out of mana, can also deal with a lot of that, healing through it. Xmithie now is just kind of waiting here. They don't have a lot of vision. It is a pretty dark area for Immortals, as Xmithie intelligently will recall, but really, this whole area is pretty much EG. There is that one single ward that has now actually expired, so they don't have anything past the river at all. And EG will be a tough team to actually just kind of face check into.
And Immortals spotted out, playing defense, all 5 members. Holding to go for mid lane pressure. They might just barely clear the wave first, but EG can easily answer that one. But a poke towards Eika. And the waves traded back and forth. Infernal Soul available on the map for evil geniuses.
And Bang has the opportunity to carry this fight. He's got 2 items and a stopwatch. Such a strong point in this game. Just completed that Black Cleaver very recently, so we'll see what he can get done. The thing is, even with this composition, if you just mess up your engage, if you get kind of collapsed on, it can be very difficult to win a straight-up 5v5 against Immortals comp. So that is why EG is playing it somewhat slowly, despite the fact that they do have a big goal.
Jiizuke, they're taking some decent poke. Eika pushing him down, then Jiizuke actually pretty low on mana here as well. So there's little bits you can see that slightly favor Immortals, but sOAZ taking some poke, takes the chain, takes the second one, and wow, down to about half HP, and Immortals is slowly getting just pushed away and weathered down.
The blue buff mattering a lot, though. You know, Eika full mana. Are they really just going to give up the soul?
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess that's the call with sOAZ chunked out. I would have thought they would just base sOAZ, TP him in, and try to contest. I am very surprised at that call, but I guess they are just feeling, hey, we just need to keep delaying it. Yes, it is an advantage, but if we can get to the late stages, we have superior scaling, we have a team fight advantage. And that is true, but you know, Baron is now on the map. Your opponents have gotten a very early Dragon Soul and are given a lot of the tools that they need to then just repeat the process that they just had over at the Baron.
Yep, 127 damage on the Infernal Soul anytime Jiizuke lands his skill shot. So it's roughly, he's got 2 Luden's Echoes. That's the damage profile there.
And you've got to add that in for Zeyzal too, who has very reliable poke with that Prowling Projectile. That starts to really add up over time. This Yuumi is going to be very, very annoying. And one of the things that can be kind of most surprising with it is it turns abilities that were not threatening previously into pretty annoying poke abilities. Lucian W is essentially adding that Luden's. Every Prowling Projectile, every random Lee Sin Q, you know, these things start to add up and turn a team that, you know, doesn't really have very threatening poke into something that can kind of really be annoying over time.
Well, Kumo barely getting away, doesn't have to burn the flash, but now let's retreat for the Immortals squad as they reconvene on the right-hand side of the map. Cannot find the opening on their side. Gold lead has been holding pretty flat, right? EG haven't gotten another turret, haven't gotten another kill. It's just the neutral objectives being added, but they are playing for that top river. Division's going their way, but there are still some Immortals wards. Corki splitting in the bottom side, squaring off against Kumo's Renekton, and reinforcements are on the way down there, hoping to find some openings on that side. Of note, Kumo did go for an armor stack, so doesn't have the best defenses here against this Corki. And now the attempt right there, they're gonna have some damage, but they completely whiffed the ulti. sOAZ not gonna get a lot done to the turret, but they can maybe try to wear down this Renekton. They don't find the knockup, but they get a little bit of Dark Harvest damage. But Kumo, tanky under the turret, stays alive, clears the wave.
Yeah, sOAZ trying to make a prediction on which way he thought Kumo would juke. Kumo, though, confident in his reaction times there, is able to just read that it's going to miss, doesn't even have to react, and EG at the same time now will get mid lane control, they will push down, get a lot of damage down on this turret, and can retreat over towards that Baron side of the map. Again, establishing more and more vision. It is a dark and scary place out there for Immortals.
Well, Immortals sent to people bot lane, they forced an ultimate, and the wave got cleared. EG used their numbers advantage mid lane, they knocked down tier 2 and took away part of the jungle. This game is continuing to go EG's way. They clear things off, earn extra gold, and Jiizuke gets to walk away after grabbing those Krugs.
And take a look at the Yuumi damage, right? That is the one that really kind of stands out to me right here. 8,567 damage, just behind the LeBlanc that got 2 kills at level 1, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is an incredible amount of poke that you are able to put out. And until people have lifesteal, until people have things like Warmogs or just a lot of regen, it does add up, and it can win you fights before they even start if you're able to poke out a carry to even half.
And EG likely to just continue to hold that top side of the map, ward over the wall. Easy 1 gold. Easiest 1 gold Bang's ever earned in his life. Another 30 on top of that one, he's rich. Make sure that all the vision is gone, it really is right here. And before too long, you have to believe Baron is in their sights, and Immortals have to actually play aggressively to find an answer at some point.
Yeah. You want to see EG continue to move forward, continue to cut this vision out, because even this kind of first line of vision that we do see here, you know, along that top side, even those wards, that's basically the line that EG has, you know, right along here, essentially. This allows them to have somewhere where they can then move forward and drop wards and check over that Baron pit. So you really want to try to clear everything out, even all the way back to here, where they're not going to be able to move forward and even check if you're doing Baron. And that's where you can get things like a Snuff Baron or an Engage where they're having to kind of do a desperation check and actually can't, you know, move slowly forward, advancing their ward line.
sOAZ waiting for enough money that he can finish the Sunfire Cave for his Iceborne Gauntlet. He's got so many components and control wards, shout out control wards, that he can't quite put in extra pieces just yet. Upgrade of the Triforce of Altec has room to upgrade 2 more items, which means he can get his jungler and his mid laner.
I think he's waiting for IE for Eika, is my assumption. The Triforce upgrade is not actually that great because it just kind of is a mishmash of stats.
10 AD, 10 attack speed, 100 health.
Exactly.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but generally people prefer the Infinity Edge. So that's my assumption, is that they're swinging.
30 attack damage on a try on a Infinity Edge upgrade, definitely worthwhile. IE is done. Track the item slots, which you can't do in Spectator, by the way. It's auto sorted by gold cost, but engage, not gonna find Svenskeren. Kite's back, stays alive. And Altec chunked low, has to burn Flash to get away as Kumo showed his face. EG playing for the mid lane push, still not going for the Baron bait just yet. Finding more conventional leads, big chunk onto Xmithie.
Yeah, now with the carries flash down though, Altec is going to be more vulnerable. EG are still kind of creating advantages through this push. Minions being denied to this turret here by Kumo. So as long as they're extending their lead, I think they're feeling fairly comfortable. But you do want to keep pressing. You don't want to allow Corki, Ornn, Ezreal, that main three to just get to multiple items kind of uncontested.
And it seems like the game plan for EG is actually Elder Dragon. Svenskeren's been pinging the Elder Dragon spawn. Hakuho now the same, he knows that's coming up very soon, but the EG game plan seems to be, never really has been Baron, right? They've not even set foot inside the pit. They've played wards, but they've not played for the actual objective. Elder Dragon is probably the one they actually play for.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if Immortals then tries to look for some sort of a trade, if they want to try to contest at that. It is going to be the Molten Edge coming through. Sunfire's completed, so 2 more upgrades coming across. And with all those Ornn items coming through, Immortals gold-wise aren't actually really behind anymore. It is just about the Dragon Soul and the stats that they're actually getting from those dragons they picked up.
There's the Xmithie upgrade. Black Cleaver gets that one, and here comes the engage right away, looking for the bang knockup. They do get that one, the flash follow! And they're gonna drop the stopwatch. Zeyzal running for dear life. They will knock down Bang, and what a time to come alive as Baron and Elder Dragon are up on the map.
Now it's their choice, and it looks like they're just gonna rush straight towards that Elder. I don't think that EG even has any opportunity to try to trade because they don't have their main consistent damage source of Bang on the map. So it's going to be about, can they actually force them off? Can they look for a steal? Svenskeren is incredible at these.
4v5, but Dragon Soul in favor of the 4. How good's the poke gonna look? Here comes the access from the backside. sOAZ poke, Svenskeren winning the wings. Easy reveal there as well. Kumo jumps in, goes to the flash play. There's a knockdown Altec, and they shut him down. He was flash flipped. The flash knockup finds Jiizuke. Xmithie finds a stopwatch. That's a 1 kill for 1 so far. Ulti comes across. Eika just trying to run away, but he's gonna get chased down as well. And despite being outnumbered, evil geniuses continue to fight. Peter to chase on down for more kills. Bang's running across the map, and sOAZ is running for dear life. He's kiting away. He's gonna drop down as well. EG get 4 for 1.
And they could eventually actually end the game if you look at the res timers. I don't know if they're gonna go for it or try to take the safer play to grab these big objectives. It's only the support on the map. Altec is not up for 10 more seconds. They are looking like they are moving towards those Nexus turrets, now pulling back a bit. So I think the call is going to be Elder. You can see pings going down towards that. Not looking to make any sort of crazy play, but they have full control. The Elder will be theirs, and they should be able to use that to grab Baron afterwards.
This should be uncontestable. Xmithie is alive on the wrong side of the map, so the Immortals call seems to be take top river as best you can, maybe try to set up for the Baron play that's coming. But there's so much more power on EG right now, a ton of extra damage. They are up gold, at least in terms of the scoreboard. Elder Dragon there as well. Infernal Soul, and you have to believe EG closes this game out.
Yeah, Kumo back to base. He grabs the GA, so he's on GA plus stopwatch now. So remember, this is a 4v5. Kumo got so much work done in this fight. They knew Altec did not have his flash, so he pre-ults, in he goes, flash stun, setting up for Jiizuke to be able to knock Altec down. Then again, track Kumo throughout the fight, working back onto the carries. While Eika was actually firing over onto Jiizuke, Kumo was already working on Eika. He was getting an incredible amount of damage out. And this Renekton cannot be ignored. And then with the carries down, there's no way that these tanks can actually punch through and deal enough damage to get through that Yuumi. And yeah, just as suspected. Bang didn't have to do anything. He wasn't even there. It was Kumo doing the heavy lifting. He had a great team fight and was kind of overlooked. It felt like Immortals tunnel visioned a bit too hard on taking down that LeBlanc.
Level 17 on Renekton. He's got a lot to do here. Jiizuke kites over the wall. He's going to stay safe. This has kind of been about the top lane a little bit, at least in that fight.
Yeah.
Talk about Kumo and Champ's Leg saying he's been a great, pleasant surprise for you this split, and a game like that will definitely show you it.
Yeah, and his next team fight is going to be even more frightening. When you're looking at that inventory, when you're seeing stopwatch plus GA, that buys so much time. You can just throw yourself at Eika, who is going to be, I think, the main carry. That is kind of the hope for Immortals in this game. And if he's not participating because Kumo is in his face, well, good luck winning.
And good job by 3 members of EG just sitting there and zoning Immortals away. They're pushing down the Baron. Ezreal ult sees it. The smite is a little early, but they still grab the Baron buff just in time. Svenskeren gets that one. Out they go. A clean Baron pickup for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, they're going to be able to grab that. Almost looked like the Ornn ult was pretty close to steal.
It was in my head. Like, hey, what if?
That would have been a bit rough, but EG grab it. They still have the Elder Dragon for a minute. They've got a long Baron power play here, and they are marching down mid lane, escorting in these minions and bringing in another Baroned up minion wave up on that top side. And EG have everything they need to close this one out.
Inhib gonna drop now as well, and at what point can Immortals even find a fight? It seems so unlikely at this point as EG keep pushing forward, they keep finding the poke, and the buffed up minions as well. It's gonna look so easy for them.
At the very least, they need Ornn ultimate, so they're gonna have to wait a good 15 seconds, but the game could be done before then pretty much.
Hellfires are certainly running low, getting burned by Elder, getting burned by the Infernal, and it was almost the kill on Altec. That could have been lethal right there from the Elder Dragon snipe. Here comes the Ornn, here comes the attempted play. Stopwatch buys some time. A knockup will almost kill Svenskeren, but he still won't go down. It's Captain Jack Sparrow over here, and now it's Immortals just forced to run away. Kill after kill after kill. It's 3 picked up already. Evil Geniuses find their 3rd win of the split, and they stop the win streak of Immortals.
A well-played game here from EG. They will finish off the Nexus. And they look good today. They did execute very well on this early game. Yes, the level 1 was very bad from Immortals, but EG was able to make the most of it. You know, we saw some really, really good play across the board. I especially wanted to highlight that against Zeyzal. I think that bot lane 2v2 got an incredible amount of work down for them. They were up heavily in farm. They knocked down the turret pretty much straight up in that 2v2 and created so many advantages. And then we did start to see, you know, what we heard from Gabby in that interview, that it was going to be kind of this Yuumi LeBlanc show, looking to poke, looking to harass, and keep Immortals at bay, and they just never could really kind of crack in once they got too far behind.
Yeah, I mean, Immortals' engage tools was Ornn, and even though that ult is pretty solid, it's better as follow-up, right? You want something a bit more aggressive to really lead the charge, because you can so often scatter against that ulti. And at the end of the day, Immortals really could not get in. They got stumped at only 4 kills all game long, and bled out and bled out and bled out.